Okay. Well, welcome to the Scio Township Board of Trustees meeting, July 21st, 2026, 6 p.m. Calling this meeting to order at exactly 6 p.m. Clerk Flintoff, please call the roll.
Carrie,
Here.
Gapel,
Present.
Flintoff, present. Grant,
Here.
Noel,
Here.
Reed, absent. Riser. Also present is Operations Manager Chrissy Aiken, Operations Director Nathaniel Clark, and Township Attorney Mariah Fink.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So we're beginning with Noel this week, correct? Yeah. Okay. All right. As usual, please put your phones away. No texting, no communications while the board meeting is going on. And let's see. Well, I guess we're going to move on to adoption of the agenda. Are there any suggested changes?
I would like to move the utility department report into consent, as well as the GCSI lobbyist report into consent. Those written documents speak for themselves.
Yes, your email did come through, but I forgot to print it. So for the
I
GCSI.
have a nice one for it.
Okay. For consent, anything else? Oh, I guess Trustee Noel.
I wanted to pull K7 from consent. I guess it would be the first new business item.
Okay. It's K7, Clerk Flintoff.
I would like to pull K4 and K8 from consent to new business, please. And I would like to add to special topics a brief introduction of Bryce Borland, new deputy clerk. And I would like to add to consent two items handed out at the board table. One is authorization of pay for deputy clerk Bryce Borland. I would propose that as item K11 in consent. And I would also offer up in the chief's absence the authorization for fire chief to sign mutual aid council letter.
Okay, so Chief has K11.
That's fine. We can switch that.
Okay.
K11 for the chief and K12 for the authorization of pay.
I'm going to pull K6 on the support.
K6.
And Jillian, in terms of ordering.
Yeah, we're just gonna go right in order. Okay, that was 4, 6, 7, 8. Under new business in that order, K4, K6, K7, K8. Then under consent, K10, or no, K11 is chief.
K11 is the authorization of the fire chief to sign the mutual aid council letter, and proposed K12 authorization of pay for deputy clerk Bryce Borland.
And what was K10?
K10 is on the agenda already.
Not on mine.
It says approval of the summer issue of the township newsletter.
Oh, that must have been upload it after it was published then, because that's not on my agenda.
I don't know.
Okay, and I don't have that in my agenda to review.
Which item?
The newsletter.
I didn't have it either.
Yeah,
It looks like it's. I don't know. I downloaded it on
It's on the online
Thursday or
agenda.
Friday. I don't
well,
know.
according to our rules of order,
I
Wednesday at
understand.
4 PM, and anything that's added should have been an email or something, I guess, or we shouldn't even be doing that because we created this to have it a week early.
I think Christy was out on vacation
Correct.
last
And it
week.
was, the agenda was assigned to myself and to the operations director. And this was never presented to us. So I don't have it. I haven't reviewed it. Sounds like Kathy Knoll or Trustee Knoll hasn't either.
Could we leave it on consent, but if somebody has something, they could reach out to Mary Gillis and talk
Mhm.
about it, because Mary's been good at working with people when they have issues.
Yeah, and I think we're on a timeline, as always, with the newsletter. So it's fine.
I mean, I guess maybe we could approve it subject to any errors or issues that a trustee finds and later works, reaches out to Mary to kind of work through those.
Mm-hmm. I think that's in the model motion, as it always is, John, something to that effect.
It's in the suggested action.
Yeah.
So all board members will be aware of what needs to be changed or is requested to be changed,
Been in here today.
since we're supposed to approve it.
No, I'm not disputing.
I'm okay with it. I'm just saying, I mean, I'm okay with what John proposed.
Okay,
We're approving it subject to someone finding something that they can't live with or that they have questions about, and they reach out to Mary to work through
Mm-hmm.
okay, then under consent would be requested to be the utility department report and the GCSI report.
Yes, please.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
Support, or I'm sorry, I moved the agenda.
Support.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Agenda is adopted as amended unanimously. Okay, thank you. E, declaration of conflict. This is the time for board members to declare any real or perceived conflicts of interest related to items on the agenda. Any? Nope. Okay. Correspondence is received. F1, any questions or comments? Okay, moving on. No special, public comment.
Special topic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Bryce, I'm sorry. Where do you go? Oh, there you are. Come up to the.
Bryce, do you mind coming up to the table? I just want to briefly take the opportunity to introduce Bryce Borland. The board has his resume in your packet. We've had the opportunity to interview Bryce multiple times, and I have appointed him Deputy Clerk of Scio Township effective August 1st. So I just want to say we're so pleased to have you here and wanted to give you a moment to introduce yourself to the board.
Well, hi, thank you all for having me. I'm Bryce Borland. I'm looking forward to working in this position. I'm bringing a little over 5 years of experience in local government to this position. I've actually only been in the state of Michigan for about 1.5 years now. Prior to that, I was in Minnesota, and I held the position of deputy clerk at a smaller city there, doing a lot of similar tasks that are listed in the job description in this of Scio Township deputy clerk, including overseeing election procedures and election volunteers, maintaining records, and working with staff and elected officials. I'm excited to, I also during that time obtained my master's degree in public administration. I think that this position is a great fit for me, and I'm excited to work with Clerk Flintoff and with all of you and with the staff here.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Bryce.
Thank you. Okay, public comment. This is time for members of the public to speak to the Board of Trustees for up to 5 minutes on any matter. We begin with anyone present. Come up to the table, please. Christy?
Yep.
You have the timer?
Yep.
Howdy, everybody.
Hello.
Caroline Altamar, Scio resident. I do have a problem with the newsletter, just to let you know. I want to express my objections to the boxed item on the newsletter that says, "Don't be fooled. It's not .gov, it's not your government. If you're not sure that a communication is coming from Scio Township, call the office, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." I very much object to the "don't be fooled." We are all aware of Scio News. We're also all aware of the nature and content of the articles. The about header of Scio News reads, "Scio News is an independent community news organization covering Scio Township, Michigan. We're published by Scio News LLC, a Michigan limited liability company. We are not affiliated with the township government, any political party, or any candidate for office. We founded Scio News because residents deserve clear, accessible information about what's happening in their township, how their tax dollars are being spent, and how decisions are being made on their behalf." End quote. I know that this publication is unpopular with some that work in town hall. We are also aware of various affiliations in town hall that possibly sparked this inclusion in the newsletter. So I'm deeply disappointed at this inclusion. I feel it's unprofessional and petty and disingenuous. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Anyone else present would like to speak?
Paula Gloverson,
Hi, Paula.
Scio resident. I think it is good to have something in the newsletter that distinguishes between the two, the actual government body and an editorial opinion pieces, because a lot of people don't know the difference. So I don't see anything petty about that. My comment I tried to make, I guess the hard drive had overheated 2 weeks ago. We should not forget the past that was the last group of trustees, some are the same, and our last supervisor, and how much it cost the residents of this township for the legal fees. Now, this should not be dropped. I don't care if the powers that be, the judges or whoever decided, oh, it's all okay. It wasn't okay, ever. And I think some restitution, I'd like to see an article written about that situation. And those people are still scurrying around doing their business. And I will have further comments probably in two or the next meeting after that. A little bit of truth, napalm, with some issues that I've had here in the township over since 1988. So I appreciate our new deputy clerk and the work that's being done. And as an election is coming up, we're gonna see and hear a few opinions. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Paula.
Rob Pattinson, Scio Township resident.
Hey, Rob.
Thank you, Jessica, for getting the correct backup recording to me today. I really appreciate that. It's a perfect example of how the FOIA issue has interfered with getting things done in the township. Had you given permission to Christy to send me the link, that would have saved a lot of time. It would have taken her about 30 seconds, as it has for the last 6 years. and could have been done 2 weeks ago. Having said thank you for one FOIA, there is still another one you haven't responded to. I asked for the monthly DTE bills for 2025 and 2026. You've given zero response to that one. So one FOIA fulfilled, the first FOIA response since May 19th, and only about 160 FOIAs and appeals to go. Kathleen, at the last meeting, you said Clerk Flintoff did not put Mary Gillis on management meetings. Mary told me the reason she attended these meetings is to gain information for the newsletter. She regularly consults with the department heads to get content for the newsletter. Here's the important part. They resist that, wanting to write an article. She told me she was attending the meetings because she would find information she thought was useful to write. She would encourage the department heads to put that in the newsletter, unquote. What is the problem with trusting department heads to write articles about their own departments? You inadvertently let the truth slip out. Jessica and Mary don't trust the department heads to write their own newsletter articles, or Jessica and Mary want to manipulate the narrative of what goes into the newsletter. The perfect example of this is the last newsletter. When informed the information she wrote in the last newsletter was false regarding the $603,000 grant from the federal government, Mary doubled down and after that and said she was changing nothing in the newsletter. We still haven't received that grant, and the current federal administration makes it highly unlikely that we will. You also said, quote, for the record, Clerk Flintoff is not responsible for the agenda, no indexing such. That's in our rules of order, so to put that on Jessica every time is really not fair. Thank you for bringing up the rules of order. Those rules also say the agenda items will be ready and presented the Monday, 8 days before the Tuesday meeting. I don't remember a single agenda that hasn't been added to after it was published the Wednesday before a meeting in the last 2 years. Granted, correspondence and minutes are understandable that they're added to. What hasn't happened is the agenda changing after it was published. Yes, documents were added to items, but new items have never been added to the agenda. So, who was responsible for last week's agenda?
It was assigned to me.
Okay.
I volunteered to help our
That was
operations
while
director.
Jessica and Christy were on vacation. Notice the agenda packet on Friday was different from the agenda. An item had been added to consent on Friday in the agenda. Who made that addition? Was it you, Jessica? Nothing. Very unlikely, because you would have made the same addition to the agenda packet. Was it Mary, whose item K10 was added on Friday? Notice the date on the item cover page. Mary completed it the day after the agenda was published. So the change on the agenda was sloppy and didn't match the agenda packet. I assume it was Christy who fixed it yesterday. So Kathleen, will you have any comments about rules of order tonight? Speaking of manipulating the narrative, why is Clark's introduction the last thing before food waste in the newsletter? Can we get the introduction to our new operations director before the second to last page in the newsletter? I suggest you make it the first article because it's so important. Ryan, you've left the last or 2 board meetings in the last 2 months early. When a trustee of the last board did that consistently, we put it down to cowardice and fear of hearing closing public comment. Please explain why you left early twice. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. Anyone else present would like to speak?
Good evening, Mary Gillis,
Hi, Mary.
resident, consultant, candidate for trustee. I've been paying attention to a conversation going on among members of the Michigan Townships Association about local versus state governance over short-term rentals. I'm bringing this up because I recall a resident who showed up at public comment not too long ago to talk about a recent sale or two in his neighborhood that appeared to be with the intention of making them short-term rentals. We are not a vacation destination hotspot here in Scio, but we could be targeted by U of M football fans looking for weekend party houses or even parents visiting their kids at college. I'm sure there are other reasons why someone would find it convenient to stay for a short time in Scio at one of our many beautiful homes instead of in a hotel. The treasurer of a township in Charlevoix volunteered that their ordinance requires a license issued by the township, a one-page application, a yearly fee, and a fire inspection. The number of short-term rentals allowed in their township is capped, and they purchase a service to monitor short-term rentals advertised in their township to make sure they are licensed. Their goal, he said, is trying to maintain some level of control such that innocent residential areas do not become commercial by default. I suspect some of you hearing this are recalling the issue we have had with party barns, causing disturbances within residential neighborhoods. I also suspect this situation is somewhat comparable to the data center situation, where the township should protect itself before problems emerge. Scio currently has no ordinances governing rentals of any kind. If we take Charlevoix as a lesson, the board could decide how many short-term rentals we would find desirable in the township, and as a business, these homes would be eligible for our commercial fire inspection service already in place. Over the long run, I believe the township needs to create capacity for rental property inspections overall. But in the meantime, getting a handle on the emerging short-term rental situation by creating a governing ordinance with an annual fee to cover the expense of tracking and fire inspections would be a good start. This would take coordination between assessing to track the number of STRs, code enforcement, and the fire marshal with direction from the planning commission and our planning consultant, but it seems doable and important. If we are interested in protecting the quality of life in Scio neighborhoods, keeping track of short-term rentals should be part of the plan. I didn't realize the newsletter would be controversial tonight. I apologize for the lateness of posting it. I'm used to Christy managing it, and that usually happened on Thursdays. So I was ready by Wednesday, but I didn't know it was going up on Wednesday. And then I know how to publish to the agenda. I have in the past, I always do my own agenda item, and I mistakenly didn't upload it to the agenda, just the agenda packet. So I apologize that some of you didn't see it. As for the don't be fooled, I have been contacted by residents who have expressed shock at the sorts of things we published about our own people because they thought Scio News was from us. And so I'm serious when I say don't be fooled. Please don't be fooled. It's not us. And I think saying if it's not .gov, it's not your government is just plainly true. If it's not .gov, it's not your government. And if you want news from your government, go to the newsletter, go to our website, .gov. I think that handles most of it. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks, Carly. Anyone?
Clock over there, so I'm gonna bring one.
Hi, Mark.
Good evening. Good evening, Mark Altamari, Scio resident, candidate for position of trustee in the August 4th election. I'm gonna go in reverse order. I didn't have a lot to say tonight, but things are coming up from all over the place. The last thing, the don't be fooled, not that I would necessarily defend my lovely bride, but I will. I think Mary's point that if a resident called and there was confusion, that's well taken. There should be something, but don't be fooled. It does carry an accusation as if there was some intent. And so I think maybe another way to phrase that might have been better, but no biggie for me. I heard some concern tonight about late additions to the agenda. That still seems to be an issue. The last meeting I was in, Treasurer Yapel said, I don't know what can be done. I'm open to suggestion. And then when it came time for my comment, he was already gone. So I said it to everyone else, but I'm going to repeat it. I'm going to suggest that you just stick to the plan. If you have a guideline that it's Thursday at 5 or whatever it is, if you stick to it and you don't allow exceptions every time, it will be rather quickly, in my experience, rather quickly adhered to. You don't need to, if anything, change the deadline to make it closer to the meeting, if that's what's necessary. Just make it closer. But if you hold to the rule, people will follow it. If you continually make exceptions, people will continue to expect exceptions. So I won't say that again. I'm gonna go back to the FOIA thing, because I keep hearing about FOIAs. It was back on June 23rd. There was a lot of discussion about this Granicus software, and I suggested that maybe a spreadsheet and some training could do the job, but you guys voted 6-1. So the minutes said I said that I hoped that it offered some improvement and accountability and so forth. And that was true. But when I was talking about accountability, what I really meant to say for the record is the board should be accountable, the 6 votes. So what I want to see, this is a project that's going to be implemented, Granicus software, a whole new process. There should be a project manager, there should be metrics, there should be deliverables, there should be a timeline. When I was project management for many years in a large company, there was schedule, performance, and budget. Those were the 3 things you had to measure. Did you hit your timeline? Did the project do what it said it was going to do? And did you stay under budget? I don't know. Maybe that's all coming, but I would really like to see that as part of the accountability. And down the road, if the FOIA's situation isn't better, then somebody needs to own up to it. There has to be accountability for that. And then lastly, at that meeting, which was over a 5-hour meeting, quite different from last week or the last board meeting. It was in the last public comment, and I was no longer here. I gave up, but I went home and I made a comment, and I said, actually, Clerk Flintoff said at the end, like at 5 hours and a minute, she said, "Look, I'm open to anybody who wants to help with these FOIA situations. If somebody wants to actually come in and sit down and help, I'm open to it." And I was at home, and I think I was the first one on the Zoom, and I said, "I'm willing to volunteer. Just tell me what day and what time to be there, because I'm really tired of hearing this. And I think that, if you're looking for volunteers, I'm in." So I never got a response to that. So I wanted to just repeat that for the record. If it's a manpower issue, I know there's training involved. There's only so many people in the building, and only 1 or 2 know how to do each thing. But I think, if it's a volunteer you're looking for, my offer stands. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone? Hi, Pat.
Good evening, Pat Stein, long-term resident. I just have a few things to say. One of them was, I was at the meeting when the RAC did a presentation, and they were very concerned about getting some things in the newsletter. So Mary was being very flexible. She had her deadline. She extended her deadline to accommodate the RAC. So now when the newsletter is not part of the agenda for whatever reasons, isn't that like dirty pool? Really, how childish. She's being flexible to accommodate them. And then when she offers them time, really think about this. There's only one word for that. Crummy. Childish. The other thing is, I'm agreeing with Paula Gloverson, as I often do. I think putting the note in the newsletter about the difference between a resident's blog and the actual .gov newsletter is important. We need to get the correct information out, not 1 or 2 people's opinion. I think putting .gov versus blog is very important. And I thank Mary for pointing that out. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Yeah.
Anyone else present would like to speak? Hi.
Hello, I'm Monica Knowles, and I moved to Scio Township in 1988. That's the same year I started selling retirement plans at Manufacturers Bank. I recently submitted my name to serve on the Retirement Benefits Guidance Committee, and I'm here tonight to reiterate my interest in serving on that committee. Over the past 38 years, I worked extensively with both defined benefit and defined contribution plans. Consequently, I believe I can bring some real value to the committee, helping to identify various nuances of these programs and how they can be structured and administered in a way that's a win-win for both employees and for the township. I've always been an employee, so, that's sensitive to me. I like to see things working well. Retirement plan administration touches hundreds of thousands of plans and millions of participants nationally. But it's actually a pretty small, tight-knit professional community. And I recognize that as much as I know on any given day, full disclosure, I don't have all the answers. But I do have a deep network of experienced retirement plan administrators and record keepers. I also have colleagues that are in constant communication with the record keepers and third-party administrators. So my value is not just in where I've been, but also in where I am today. The company I work with today is an organization called Single Point AI, and that company is in the process. There's like 35 record keepers. As I said, it's not that big of a network, really. And we're modernizing the whole plan administration process, which has been the same pretty much since day one of 401ks plans, defined contribution plans, and with defined benefit plans, they've never changed. So again, I just want to reiterate my interest and the value I believe that I can bring. And thank you for considering me. And if anyone should have any questions or thoughts, you have my information. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Monica.
Anyone else present would like to speak? Okay, online?
Yes. First up is Jonathan Greenberg. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Hi, excuse me. Yeah, don't be fooled. Scio News is not a product of Scio Township government. It is an editorial response and provides transparency into the workings of Scio Township government. All of our articles are based on meeting minutes, documents obtained by FOIA, and communications from the Scio Township board, as well as Scio Township employees. Please feel free to go to scionews.com and make a decision for yourself. I would call out the fact that the very first header on the webpage at Scio News is it says Scio News Residents Informing Residents. Your township, your business. Scio News is an independent source of news and accountability journalism for Scio Township, Michigan. We break down complex issues, track board decisions, and keep residents informed about what's happening in their community. We are residents, not politicians. We don't have an agenda beyond transparency. That's at the top of the main web page. So I find it interesting that there's a concern and that people are looking at this publication and thinking that it belongs to Scio Township itself. It's an excuse to write what you wrote. It's petty, it's silly, and not at all unexpected from the crowd that we live in their head rent-free. We hear all the time how much certain members of the board are incredibly upset with the fact that we are providing transparency into their behavior, into the working conditions, into the reasons why the budget is so terrible and why the staff have resigned and left the township, over 12 since this board was sworn in. We've made corrections when others have reached out to us and told us that we've gotten things wrong. We update the information that is in the articles if in case we are wrong, and we note it at the top of the article. The style is non-judgmental. The style is reporting facts. So I have no problem with you adding the "don't be fooled" I appreciate it. It's a compliment to the work that we're doing here at Scio News. And I would encourage anyone listening to this to go to scionews.com, subscribe, and enjoy the writing. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Anyone else?
Is there anyone else online that would like to speak at public comment? Please raise your Zoom hand. There are no hands raised.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Now it's time for board member response. We begin with Trustee Noel. We're going into order.
I don't have any specific response. I thank those of you who shared. I don't have any response tonight.
Please be respectful when trustees speak. Okay, thank you. Trustee Riser.
No, thank you.
I do have one comment. Monica Knowles, we did receive your application. The deadline is July 27th. So we have six days. And we've received one other application. Anybody that is interested in the retirement guidance committee, please apply. And I think that's it for me. Treasurer Yakel, do you have anything?
Thank you. Thanks everyone for your comments. Regarding the HVAC grant, I had another meeting today with Michigan Technical Assistance Center. That is still on track. Hope to have further timing updates as they come up. The township actually and myself were invited to present at a event in September to help explain the program and to speak to how it worked for us. So looking forward to that. I would just say that the newsletter, we did extend the deadline from our original deadline. I believe people were trying to get the work done to get the newsletter published so that we could have it ready for the agenda. I appreciate everyone's feedback as far as timing. If the board wants to make changes to the rules of order, the board should make those changes. Otherwise, that's where we're sitting. Thanks.
Thank you. Clerk Flintoff.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, I want to, at a future meeting, I'll be bringing a proposed change to the Retirement Benefits Committee to add our HR manager. That is the position charged with administering all of our benefits. And so I think it's an important role once filled to have as part of that committee. Thank you, Monica, for your application. We've gotten very familiar with Empower, a new record keeper. We moved from Alaris to Empower recently. So thank you for that. Secondly, I just want to remind folks that we have 5 times as many FOIA requests as we did a year ago, over 80% of them from one individual. Certainly, everybody's welcome to exercise their constitutional rights. I just, as when people have the right to bear arms and vote at the same time. Sometimes that's also that right. It doesn't make it good public policy or further the public good. Certainly we're on track with the Granicus, had the first meeting, be bringing in people, and I think it will be implemented in about 8 to 12 weeks. As I said at the time, the problem is twofold. Lack of technology, which we'd never invested in. Now we have, thank you. And lack of staff. We've never had a staff person assigned to work on FOIA. So again, that's something I'll be bringing back to a next meeting. So appreciate that. It's definitely a people power and technology issue. Also, I just want to say when I read that blurb in the newsletter, I didn't even think of anybody's blog. I just thought we're in election season and I want to make sure people are going to .gov. Come to the Scio Township or Secretary of State for information. You all may remember 3 years ago, we went through a prolonged process even to get that .gov from .org. That was recommended by election security professionals. Also, staff know, as Ryan and I know, that a lot of people have been getting fake invoices from Scio Township, planning and zoning invoices. And we keep saying, look at the email, If it says sciotownshipmi.gov, it's real. But there's a lot of these bogus emails going around. Last, I just sent out a reminder to all staff a couple of days ago about the spearphishing attempts we get, trying to get people's banking information. So I just want to say, no matter what's in the newsletter, like, please pay attention to the source of information about elections, about money, about laws. And I'll give a quick update during reports about some of the key election deadlines I want people to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Brandt.
Yes, I was going to ask Monica Knowles if you had submitted via the webpage, and it's now been confirmed by the supervisor. Supervisor Carey, I did not receive that. Could you forward that to me, please?
No, because I did not receive it either.
Then
It was provided to me on my desk.
You did receive. Well,
No, it came to the township, but it was handed to me. Somebody printed it.
You
and
guys,
handed it to me.
everybody can receive it. Christy?
Yeah, there's.
I have received those in the past for all of them,
So
so
did I, but I didn't receive.
I'll double check the website and let the board know who is named to receive those committee. Make sure everybody's on there.
Yep.
All board members.
It's just your second day back from age.
Okay. Well, Christy, you know what?
Yeah.
Since it's new, it may not have the distribution. list.
I wanted to add
Yeah.
another employee on, so I'll go back in.
I will.
Okay, it's not a big deal. Okay, Trustee. Brandt.
Riser says I'm going to get more time, but
I'm asking Trustee Brandt, do you have more to say? Okay.
always interrupted, never allowed to finish. It would be comical, but it's government. Thank you. I'm done.
Well, looks like you did finish then. Okay, so on to approval of the minutes. J1, approval of minutes of July 7, 2027, Board of Trustees regular meeting. Trustee Noel, do you have any suggested changes?
No, I don't.
Trustee Riser? Okay, the only one I see is on page 8 under 03 to adopt resolution number 2026. And at the time, we did not have the number, but it should be 32-2026.
Yeah, we just adopt it as it actually happened in the meeting. I have that number recorded.
Yeah, it's
After.
32. I looked it up on, because you uploaded it to the website.
Yeah, I signed the number after the meeting.
Okay, so I'm suggesting that we include that into 03 to adopt resolution number 32-2026 as an amendment. And that's all I could find. Treasurer Yapel.
That was gonna be my suggestion.
Okay.
So I would say I think it's 2026-32.
Okay.
The actual resolution.
How she,
I would suggest then that we just resolution, like now named that.
Okay, I'm good with
Something to
that.
that effect.
Yep.
okay.
So that it's an accurate reflection of what happened. Okay, thanks.
Clerk Flintoff. Or was that, okay. Trustee Brandt. Okay. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
I move the, adopting the agenda. Minutes, rather.
I'm sorry, the minutes.
Support.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are adopted as amended. Thank you. All right, consent agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda as amended? And just to be clear, we have pulled K6, K7, K4, K6, K7, K8. We've included, well, 2 reports, but also K10, which wasn't on mine, but it's okay. K11 and K12.
I move the consent agenda.
Support. Oh,
It's Yeaple, Riser and Yeaple.
as amended?
As amended.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Consent agenda is adopted as amended, 6-0. All right, thank you. Okay, on to regular reports. I will go last with mine, but we'll go down. Where did it go?
You don't want to go north?
No, mine will be a little bit lengthy, so it'll be at the end. There it is. We will begin with Treasurer Yeaple.
Sure, thank you. Couple of things. Encourage anyone that has not gotten their tax bill to please let us know. We can print you off a copy here at Township Hall or email or mail it. Heard from just a handful of people with that problem here in the last week or so. Tax collection's going well. I did want to bring up something that happened last week. I got notified by Comcast, one of our internet service providers, that external party was utilizing a piece of network equipment to try to attack some other external third party. I immediately reported it to CTC, our IT contractor. They were able to determine that the device was being used was an old network switch. They disconnected that. They then saw that the attacker was trying to attack our firewall, so they worked and remediated that. They were on site in under an hour, and they were able to get the problem resolved. But Comcast reached out to me directly by calling our main phone line, and I got that message to them and had the updates provided to Operations Director Clark. And then that was sent out to the board a couple times with those updates. I will say one thing I was concerned about is some recent behavior in the office. Certainly I've disagreed with people on different policy decisions and different policy items, and that's to be expected and okay. What isn't okay is people shouting and screaming or using profane language. I'd ask that to stop. It's never okay. And if people are upset or unable to be calm about something, they need to take a few moments, walk away, and then come back to what they need to accomplish. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Clerk Flintoff.
First up on records, I want to thank Jess Draper and Elka Noor Brooks for all their work on scanning. I'll have a more substantive update soon, but they are just getting all of our records properly digitized in an accessible and searchable format. It would take a long time, but they are almost through all of our minutes for the board, the planning commission, and the ZBA, as well as many of the planning and zoning permits. So those will soon be available, not just in the office, but online as well. So they're doing an awesome job. Second, related to finance, I want to thank Plant Moran and Woodhill for stepping in for some of the gaps. We are largely up to date on things. We finished the payroll audit, made all of the corrections, and working through those one by one. One of the projects we're implementing is working with ADP. We've had our fourth meeting with them, and the next meeting with them, they're going to kind of stand up the site, the interface that we have. So I would expect that within the next 4 to 6 weeks, we'll be transitioning to ADP for pay. And then we'll be adding on reimbursements, the medical reimbursements, mileage reimbursements, as well as the retiree reimbursements. And then we'll implement the time module so we can finally get away for paper. That will also, being on ADP, help with security with some of the spear phishing attempts we've had. Related to the election, coming up Tuesday, August 4th, I want to thank Scio Township voters for being the votingist. I want to thank the elections team who has done an awesome job. Deputy Clerk Angela Demkowski, Nutan Nathwani, Sherry Saban, Anna Kristich, 3 seasonal clerk's assistants, and we've all been working hard to get the ballots out. Out of 15,500 voters, we have sent out 6,075 ballots. We have Nearly 1,500 returned already. I've been really pleased that we've had 52 overseas and military voters participate, even in a primary, partly because of some of the reforms, making it so easy. And want to make sure people have a couple of key dates. There's still the postcards, some extras there if you'd like to grab one. You can also go to the Scio Township website or the Secretary of State website for accurate information. With all of the excitement around this election, especially in the city of Ann Arbor, I'm seeing some things on social media where the deadlines aren't quite right. So a couple of important things. If you have already submitted your absentee ballot to me and would like to change your mind, you have only until Friday at 5 p.m. to do that. This Friday at 5 p.m., July 24th. Anyone else who's a registered voter may request an absentee ballot up to and on, and may spoil it, up till Monday, August 3rd at 4 p.m. So please request an absentee ballot if you'd like one. Come register to vote in person with proof of residency anytime up until 8 p.m. on election day. And starting this Saturday at 9 a.m., Scio Township will proudly host one of the 5 county regional early voting hubs. We will have early voting from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, July 25th through Sunday, August 2nd. So starting Saturday, this will be a polling place. We'll have the 100-foot line enforced and all of the rules and regulations that go along with that. The clerk's office will also be open both weekends, and just encourage folks to continue to call or drop in with any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Elections Commission, the next meeting is the end of August, I believe. We're finished with this election as far as election commission.
Yeah, I'd have to look at my phone to let you know, but it's not for a bit. We'll have 2 more election commission meetings to prepare for the November election.
Thank you. Lock Alpine Sanitary Authority, our water tower is complete. The big issue with the leaking pipe inside was corrected. They were able to fill it, back to testing, everything was great. And it's back online. So anybody that lives in Lock Alpine, you can water your lawn. I guess it doesn't matter now since it's not hot anymore or very hot. Our next board meeting for LASA is Monday, July 27th, 3 p.m. at Webster Township Hall. Okay, Parks Past Preserves Committee, that's David, he's not here. The same with LPC. Planning Commission, Trustee Brandt.
Planning Commission is not met.
It's not met. Thank you. Same with Sustainability Task Force. Gelman.
I don't have an update.
Okay. And
Can I ask you a question again? Isn't Debbie, I'm sorry, Congresswoman Dingle having aren't there some EPA things coming up that are?
Yes, we have the visioning sessions coming up in August. And there have been 2 meetings in Ann Arbor. You probably know about those. We're currently scheduling for the visioning sessions, but this is all on our website.
All right, thank you.
And may I just add one thing? Sorry, this is what I was mentioning. We do have some flyers. I can run and grab some, but they're in the office. We've been handing out at the front desk for some of those community sessions.
I didn't know they had come in. Nobody told me. They were supposed to.
Yeah, people have been interested.
Good.
Township lobbying efforts, and thank you for the report from GCSI, Trustee Reiser. John Horford, is there anything you would like to include?
No.
Okay. Roads Advisory Committee. Oh.
No, I'll continue to get these, but when you read the report, if there's something that you want to meet with a legislator or have more discussion on, John's certainly willing to have a one-on-one with anybody or to introduce somebody to sponsor a bill or things like that. So look at it, and if there's follow-up that this board wants or individuals on the board want, get in touch with me, David, or Kathy, please.
Okay, thank you. Roads Advisory Committee, our next meeting is Wednesday, August 12th at 6 p.m. Multimodal Transit Committee.
Thank you. We did have a meeting here a couple weeks ago. One of the items that was presented was a possible change in having and how the Parkland Plaza area would be served, specifically by Wave. There's a cost savings option that Wave was looking to get some community input on. I think a community engagement session for just after the election, I'm hoping to come up with a date and time for that here the next couple of days. So we can put it on our website, and also I can reach out to the large list of people I have from earlier this year that were very interested and very engaged. But likely would be here. There also probably would be time during the next multimodal meeting after that. Technically, our next meeting is July 30th, but I'm not sure we're going to have that given the early voting site here. Yeah, we might do it in the front. I don't know. We'll have to see how people's availability works, but
What would be the next scheduled meeting after that? Do you meet every
We-
4 weeks or?
we were working on that. The chair had been out of the meeting for the month of July due to some other situations, and the hope was to basically have this next meeting and get back on a regular schedule, especially with the summer, people being gone on trips and other things,
Okay, so potentially July 30th.
Potentially July 30th. Otherwise, there's one in August, which I can get you the date on a
The
little
next
bit
meeting.
later. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Operations Director. That
Can always borrow the other one.
it's kind of iffy.
This one. Okay. The recruitment process for the Human Resources Manager and the Utilities Director positions has been completed. Documentation regarding the candidates will be presented to the Board of Trustees for review and consideration at the next regular scheduled meeting in August. And I'm proud to say we did it. I'll be remiss if on behalf of the core group, I didn't thank the Township Board, the leadership team, supervisors, and every employee that participated in our township assessment. Our goal was to achieve a 75% participation rate. This evening, I want to thank everybody again that our rate exceeded our own goals. We exceeded in excess of 87% participation rate. That's a testament to us that working together, we will make a difference in the township. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
After the last meeting, I was presented an email that was very concerning and upsetting to me. And I have contemplated this heavily, and I'm going to read this out loud. This is my letter to the board, and I have documents that will, the evidence to back up what I need to say. I recently received the attached email from resident Steve Gillis. From a resident, subject is the Trouble in Paradise, which was sent on May 3rd, 2026 to a quorum of the Township Board and Township Attorney Mariah Fink. The email raises concerns that extend beyond policy disagreements and underscore the importance of transparency, ethical governance, and respect for democratic institutions. Although Mr. Gillis is neither an elected official nor a member of the Board of Trustees, he describes developing a strategy, paragraph 3 within the letter or the email, for board members to take action against a duly elected township supervisor. On January 13, 2026, Treasurer Yapel introduced a resolution consistent with that strategy to prohibit the supervisor from Township Hall. Although the resolution failed, he later created an agenda item to censor the supervisor by resolution, dated February 17, 2026. Before withdrawing it, but after Trustee Brandt's behavior in a meeting on the same date with contractors and staff. These actions closely mirror the approach outlined in Mr. Gillis's email. Mr. Gillis's email goes beyond expressing personal opinions. It encourages board members to go on the offensive, collect complaints, involve law enforcement, build public support for a predetermined outcome, and ultimately censor or remove an elected official. When an unelected individual, particularly one whose spouse is both a township contractor and political candidate, Mary Gillis, appears to influence governmental actions, it raises legitimate concerns about outside influence in public decision-making. Equally concerning is that this communication occurred through private email accounts and included the township attorney rather than official township channels. While such communication remains subject to the Freedom of Information Act, there was a lawsuit in the city of Ann Arbor over this, and it was determined that using public or private email accounts does not protect you from Freedom of Information Act while conducting public business. In this manner, creates the appearance of avoiding public scrutiny and undermines public confidence. That concern is compounded by Clerk Flintoff's refusal in a May 7, 2026 email exchange to include this correspondence in the board packet, despite routinely including other communications sent to the board. Selectively withholding records that may have influenced governmental decisions deprives both board members and residents of important context. The content itself is also troubling. Rather than promoting objective fact-finding and respectful discussion, it relies on personal attacks, unsupported assertions, and coordinated efforts to achieve a predetermined outcome. Public officials have a responsibility to evaluate evidence impartially and make decisions based on documented facts, not political strategy or personal animosity. Democratic government depends on respecting election results and resolving disagreements through lawful, transparent, and fact-based processes. Public decisions should be made openly where residents can observe and trust their interest, not personal agendas or outside influence are the priority. Our responsibility is not to political allies or individual interests. It is to the residents of Scio Township. They deserve a government that operates with integrity, accountability, and transparency. When records are withheld, decisions appear coordinated behind the scenes, or public confidence is diminished. Restoring trust requires a renewed commitment to openness and the principles that safeguard a democratic process. Finally, I have attached the Code of Conduct for Scio Township officials and staff presented by Treasurer Yapel on January 27, 2026, and unanimously adopted by the board as a reminder of the standards to which we all have committed. This Code of Conduct was directed at certain board members, but has not been followed by others. Clerk Flintoff, please include this letter and corresponding attachments to the board packet. Enclosed, Trouble in Paradise, Steve Gillis. January 13, 2026, Treasurer Yaples introduced a resolution to ban the supervisor. Agenda item to censor the supervisor by resolution. Trustee Brandt's behavior in a meeting, an email thread. Clerk Flintoff, May 7, 2026 email exchange that she refused to upload the email that she had in her possession. Code of Conduct for Scio Township officials and staff. This will be free for anybody to read when it's uploaded to the packet. Thank you. Okay, on to no public hearings, unfinished business, none. New business, K4. Rules for Scio Township Parks, Preserves, and Pathways. Director Harrington.
Okay. I see that there are people, employees here who had matter on the consent agenda. Thank you for coming. You can stick around. It's an open meeting, but if your item's been called, feel free to leave. We're not going to take it back. Appreciate it.
That would be, I'm sorry, that would be Eagle View and utility report,
Yeah.
unless you want to stay. Thank you. Hi.
Hi. So I think in general, the agenda item kind of speaks for itself. Right now, the township has not adopted any official formal rules for any of our parks, preserves, or pathways. So this is just an effort to create concise, common sense rules to regulate the activities that can take place within our public spaces.
Director Harrington, from what my understanding is that you worked with Township Attorney Fink.
Yes, I worked with Attorney Fink and Code Enforcement Officer Keith Iswan.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we will just start with Trustee Knoll again, and maybe she has some questions or comments.
I don't have any questions. I will be supportive of this. Thank you.
Trustee Riser?
Yes. Number 3, animals. You say no public park within Scio Township is designated a dog park or run. That's actually, there is one that's been designated a public land in Meadow Winters. So you might want to say no public park within Scio Township is designated a dog park or run other than the dog park in the Meadowwoods would be subdivision, because that has been open, you know, it's a non-tax land, it's open to the public, it has to be open to the public. I do do that, so.
Public park is a defined term in the ordinance.
Yeah.
And it is defined as for purposes of rules and regulations established under this section. The term public park means any park, preserve, pathway, nature area, or open space owned and controlled.
Thank you. I don't have the advantage of, I don't have those. Thank you very much.
Part of this agenda item, which
Yeah.
as long as I'm talking, I would point out that you need 2 motions. Yeah, one without the rule and one without the.
Okay, all right. And then the other one I see is weapons and explosives and firearms, and there are people with CPL that are in that, but that's where you would be otherwise authorized by law would potentially cover that. All right, no, I appreciate your working on these, and I thank you for working with council as well. Thank you, Mariah, for your and your.
Yeah, thank you. I just had a question in the ordinance. This would be under definitions, the very last. Transportation Alternatives Planning Committee, does that still need to be included because we don't have it anymore? Is it just a reference to the past?
It's a reference to what we didn't. What committees are what?
Well, does it need to be there if we don't have it anymore?
No.
You just strike that out, right? Or because I'm assuming that this will, when we make the changes that, I mean, we could adopt it today.
That's true.
Yeah, okay. Don't need to have another agenda item. Let's see, I think that was it for me. Treasurer April, do you have anything?
Not at this point.
Okay, Clerk Flintoff.
Yeah, thank you. I had a number of comments. I want to thank Murphy. I want to thank Mariah, Keith, who worked on this. I know these are a long time coming. My first comments are related to the ordinance and the second related to the rules. On the ordinance, since we are updating it, I wanted to suggest under section 22 definitions that we add fire chief. Fire chief means the fire chief of Scio Township. I think I would like to also add operations director. Operations director means the operations director of Scio Township. And to Jillian's earlier point, under PAB, I would suggest we strike that and replace it with Parks, Preserves, and Pathways Committee means the Scio Township Parks, Preserves, and Pathway Committee approved on December 13th, 2022, and modified by any subsequent resolution, and strike, as you suggested, the Transportation Alternatives Planning Committee definition. As folks may remember, TAP and PAB merged to become the PPP. So it doesn't have any effect, but just brings the definitions current, as well as adds the definition of operations director and fire chief. And that is because I have some suggestions about integrating them into the rules. But those are my comments on the ordinance. Would you like to discuss, or would you like to go to the rules?
Let's go to the rules.
Okay.
Maybe that'll help clarify. Go ahead.
So I would say, couple of things. Kind of a question. I'm trying to understand all of the exceptions built into our rules. And I understand that we need to have exceptions, but I'm trying to understand what criteria, under which criteria we would use, what instances we might have exemptions, and who should grant those exceptions. For example, it shall be unlawful for any person except those persons authorized by the Parks Director to enter upon, cross through, or remain with any public park outside of the established hours. I can imagine the board authorizing a special event, the fire chief needing to do a training, the operations director authorizing, maybe the parks director, but let me just have that question hang for a sec, because it kind of repeats throughout. I'm trying to understand what scenarios that would be where we would want to have people in the park after hours, or where we may approve that.
Do you want me to speak to that?
Do you mind
currently?
if I'd like to go through just all of it real quick, because I think it'll be more efficient. Number 2, I believe it says explicitly accepts fire and emergency medical responders. Second paragraph, all motor vehicles except authorized township or emergency vehicles. Might we want to add authorized township or township contractor? I guess, vehicles authorized by the township. I imagine if you might want to have a contractor or maintenance. Is that covered? And then in terms of off-road operation, that's where I'd like to understand what kind of criteria we would use to allow a scenario, snowmobiles, ATVs. I feel like that either needs criteria or a higher level of authorization for that to happen. 3, animals. I was curious why dogs are not permitted within public preserves. We have a definition of public parks, which seems to include preserves, but then later it says public preserves, capital. Okay, so I see in the ordinance, it says public park includes any park, preserve, pathway, nature area, or open space owned or controlled by Scio Township. And then there's nature preserves. So I wasn't sure what public preserve, capital P's. It's just a cleanup. You got it? Horses are prohibited on all Scio Township properties. Is it not just prohibited in all public parks? I would guess. I mean, I'm thinking of I guess it's a pony we have at the Halloween party at the fire station, but I guess just for consistency, is this meant to just apply to public parks and not all Scio Township properties? And then the exception for ADA for animals makes a lot of sense. I don't know if it's important. Do we want to, accept any, law enforcement use of animals, or is that obvious? No hunting. I agree. No hunting on a public park. Again, it says preserve, not sure why, or in any waters adjacent thereto, unless a permit has been obtained from the parks director. I would say we don't have a permitting process. We would have to create it. So I'm kind of curious what's envisioned there. And I'd be much more comfortable with just no hunting. I'd like to kind of hear more about what scenarios the township might want to permit hunting. Number 6, again, the or preserve pops out. Camping, as well as smoking. Number 8, camping. I'm just wondering, why wouldn't we just have no camping? What, again, would be the reasons for the exceptions? No fires. I would say no fires in public parks. Again, this says Scio Township property. I'm suggesting it be public parks as defined, except for with the written approval from I would strike Parks Director and say Fire Chief. And again, bottom of 10, that looks good. But again, it says public parks and preserves. I think we all mean the same thing. 13, I had a question about how that interacts. And I'm sure you looked at this, Mariah, with our noise ordinance. And again, we are measuring sound. So how will we enforce that? And unmanned aircraft and drones. This is completely self-serving, but when I saw no unmanned aircraft shall be flown over Scio Township Hall, I just appreciate that for election day, and with 100 feet of it, I wonder if we might be willing to add within a certain distance of Township Hall, but that's less important in this ordinance. Those are my comments.
Okay. Would you like to hear from the rest? Okay, Trustee Brandt?
No comments.
Well, I guess we went through everybody. Okay. Director Harrington?
Okay, so I think I took enough notes to follow all that. The dark. Okay, so should we start with the no off-road operations, paragraph 3 of number 2? Okay, so we encounter often, especially around Liberty Pond, people with their ATVs, and then in the winter, we encounter people with snowmobiles, but there definitely needs to be an exception for our prescribed fire contractor who drives an Argo, which contains gallons of water as well as safety equipment and other equipment required for the prescribed burn. So we don't want to close the door to allowing our own contractors to utilize those vehicles. Animals. So I think that it could be narrowed down instead of saying Scio Township properties, but we do have a couple of properties that are just vacant right now. So maybe keeping it more open so that like the property at the end of Stabler and then any other kind of properties that are kind of secluded that look somewhat inviting to people because they are not occupied. Keeping it broad might be more beneficial than narrowing it specifically to parks and preserves. When it comes to no hunting, definitely now is not the time I want to dive too deeply into this conversation, but there has been discussions about deer management, and we definitely want to keep that open. And if there comes a time when we do get the discussion in front of the board about possible deer management in the future, if that is not approved, then we could remove it. But I think it'd be more appropriate to leave it now and then come back to the discussion. And if the initiative fails, then we can also remove the hunting portion at that time. No fires. Yeah, instead of on Scio Township property, again, keeping it a little more broad since we do know that people have been camping out at the Stabler property. So people camp anywhere that there's vacant spots. And then approval from the fire chief, I think is not as appropriate as the parks director for a couple of reasons. Back when I first started, there was a small cooking fire that we were using out at Township Hall. And I went to him specifically to ask, do I need a permit for this? And he's always said, no permitting is necessary as long as it's a cooking fire. And we would never allow anything larger than that. And the parks are preserves anyway. Part of why I think that it's not really meant for people to just come and be like, oh, we want to have a cooking fire. I envision hopefully in the future, having a collaboration with any tribal communities in the area that may want to utilize the space for any type of ceremonial purposes. We haven't gotten that far yet, but I know that Nichols Arboretum and Mathi Botanical Gardens also keep exceptions open for those purposes. With the noise ordinance, I can't speak necessarily to how similar this is to the other noise ordinance, but in terms of enforcement, it's just about the same as any of these others, which is, we'll contact the sheriff's office or code enforcement if it's one of the 3 days that he's here, if there is a person who's found to be operating a loud musical device in a preserve.
Director Harrington, I'm going to interrupt you just for a second. Attorney Fink, if we have the rules here, does this override the noise ordinance or a future, this could still be a separate?
Noise level for parks that doesn't.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm probably talking about. It's pretty low. I mean, other noise ordinances are louder than that.
How loud is this? Like, what is this like? Like talking or unamplified music or?
Yeah, we don't want any kind of amplified noise is the general idea, especially in the preserve areas. We want people to be able to go there and enjoy the quiet piece that is meant to be a preserve land.
Really? That's 45?
Yeah.
Right. Like lawnmowers, I think are 80 ish.
Which,
Yeah, the idea is that people could play quiet music, but not disturb other people.
okay. Did you have more?
No, I think I covered everything.
Trustee Noel, go ahead.
I just wanted to confirm with Mariah. I know we've talked about this before, the issues of who can regulate drones over specific areas. Like we talked about it in terms of the University of Michigan Stadium and drone regulation there, but are we allowed in our ordinances to regulate drones over township hall or township parks or anything?
It does say permitted. I don't know about that last, unmanned aircraft. I don't. This is a rule, though, not an ordinance.
Yeah.
But we can look at that. I mean, I think what I'm hearing today is that you'd like us to regroup and bring you something revised. I do think that it's important that we have something that's specifically called out emergency vehicles, because what we have now, I thought it was more broad, but what we have now is essentially emergency vehicles can spend the night. Right. And what we really want to say is they can be at the park and they can spend the night. They can do whatever they need to do. They can do whatever they need to do. So, and I think few changes to the ordinance make sense. I didn't even notice that we didn't have that.
Yeah.
So much time.
Well, I think we all went through, so, but Trustee Noel, was that it for you?
That's it.
Okay. Trustee Roderick.
had a flyer doing STEM with the high school kids with drones.
Yeah, it says in the agreement with the site.
Oh,
We called them out specifically
Yep.
because we have a specific agreement with them that we do stuff out there. Yeah.
Well, yeah, this. I think that we'll just finish, but I think that, with the suggested changes that we could send it back and do you have any more? I don't have any more. Just brief.
I would say too, that's helpful to understand more the hunting. I would say, I think that again, if we don't have a policy to permit hunting, but we might develop a policy to permit hunting, we could change the rules after that. So I would recommend starting with no hunting. And then if we change the policy to allow hunting, then we would add that.
Yep.
And I would also be, I know you've been working on these with the committee for a lot of months, and I do appreciate it. I think you've got a good scope of a lot of different scenarios to consider, but would recommend that it be reworked with more consultation and come back to the board.
I would like to reiterate the Rule 9 on no fires.
Trustee Brand,
Clearly, that
your
should
turn.
be a part of the fire chief's realm. He needs to know, the fire department needs to know if there are any fires in.
And he might differ.
I've tried to bring them to him in the past, and as far as I know, he doesn't even document that because we don't need permits for fires under a certain size.
Yeah,
Sure.
just notice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we need a motion to table.
You want to table it to, without a date or to a date certain via a postponement?
With a date.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm finding, I guess I'm asking you to, what date would you like to bring it back?
I think the next meeting, you think we can be ready by? Okay, yeah, the next meeting then.
Okay,
What date?
that's gonna be a packed agenda, but,
Oh, this is gonna be.
Beyond your consent.
okay.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
We need a roll call for that?
yes.
We have,
August
We
11th.
just make up the rules anyway, so.
So it's 11 or 25?
Rules for Scio, and yeah, 8/11 or 8/25.
I'll be out of town on the 25th. So
I move that we postpone this agenda item until August 11th. So that the changes we have discussed can be incorporated and the matter be placed back on the consent agenda item.
Except for the ordinance, we have to.
the ordinance on the radio.
On the front end of it.
But you don't talk.
Old business. Can we show the ordinance on our old business?
It's unfinished business.
Yeah.
I'll support that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, August 11th, back on, the agenda. Thank you.
see you then.
All right, case 6, development of request for proposals for open space consulting services, and this was prepared by Clerk Flintoft. Go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to put this in the next item on the agenda because the board last couple of years has been behind the ball on this. So I wanted to put it out in front of us quickly to see if this is in fact something the board wants to do. We now have our operations director. At the last time this came up, we said, let's wait till we have an operations director. I've been contacted by a couple members of the LPC regarding this. There's a couple of even drafts around. So the main question here is, does the board want to RFP out for open space consulting services? We have expressed that before, but need to give ourselves enough time to get that done by December 31st, when Tremore Ecology's contract ends. So the model motion just kind of lays out proposed timeline for an RFP to come back. and then have a contract in place so that we don't have any gap by January 1st. You may remember the last couple of years, we've been behind the ball on this. I spoke with the operations director a couple times about this, and you'll notice one important piece is that the third paragraph. Certainly the operations director has all of our available staff at his disposal. But I'll just state again, historically, the township hasn't had sufficient qualified professional staff to write substantive or technical documents. We've relied on contractors or volunteers to do so. As we know, the operations director is conducting an organizational assessment that may include identification of staffing gaps that may be met through creation of new positions or contracts or whatever's recommended. So just flagging that assessment is still underway. That doesn't mean that contracts aren't up for renewal or bid. So it's kind of a question to the board about what we want to do with this.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Knoll.
Okay, I have some concerns about this at this time. I think our new operations director, Clark, needs time to finish his organizational assessment that's underway right now. I know that it is noted in the background material that Scio currently lacks sufficient qualified professional staff to write the technical documents, but we haven't hired anybody new recently. If we lack the staff, when you wrote this, Jessica, we are still lacking the staff. And I would like to give Clark time to get his feet on the ground, make his assessments of the organization, make his suggestions for whatever help he might need. So I question why we would want to assign this to our new operations director at this time. I would like to support him and set him up for success at this time. Now, that being said, I spoke to David Reed and Liz Wiseman. Both are supportive of this. David Reed is our board representative on the LPC. I know that Barry's contract expires at the end of December. So perhaps we should be discussing an extension of his contract on a month-to-month basis or whatever. And perhaps we should consult with Director Clark on his assessment of this situation. What is his opinion on an appropriate time frame for this request? Because I want to encourage him and set him up for success and give him a chance. Yes.
Trustee Riser.
I support this in concept. I would like to see an RFP on this as well. The model motion to direct the operations director to work with assigned staff. So is that everyone assigned to him, or I would rather that's a township staff so he could kind of pick and choose who he thinks would need help. So I would want it broader than assigned staff. I mean, honestly.
It was intended to be broad, but what's your suggestion?
To work with township staff. Just township staff. In other words, he's gonna have people probably do the heavy lifting on this. He's just gonna check in with them on where they are on it. And I don't know, September 8th is too soon, because one of the things we've got coming down the pipe, maybe they're on us already, I just don't know it, is those getting an inaugural union contract up and running. Those are pain in the butt when you do a renewal, but getting a new one, and I don't want to say flooding, but they're a brand new union with not a lot of lot of history of bargaining. So they're going to be kind of working it out as they go as well. So I know that's going to be a priority for him. So I don't know if I would want as late a date as we could do, but rather than September 8th, whether that's over, I don't know, add 2 days or 3, add some time after that. And then maybe bring it back at a later date in November for possible approval and then go month to month. Just because the current contractor wants a 1 year doesn't mean we're prepared to do a 1 year. So I'd rather, I'm okay with this, but I want more time. I want more resources to him and I want a later date. That would be, if this gets moved tonight, those would be my amendments. But anyway. Thank you. I yield the floor.
Did you, just to be clear?
I'm done.
Well, I'm asking you a question. Okay, I'm going to move on then. I know, no, because it's my turn. You've already had your turn. We're going in order. I'm in agreement that I have some concerns about this and the next agenda item. The township has not had sufficient qualified professional staff to write. We still don't, and has relied on contractors. We are just bleeding money with contractors. It's just unbelievable. And then there's other people that need support, and we don't provide that support. And I really feel that we haven't even had a 60-day assessment yet that our operations director said he was going to provide us. In his job description, contracts are under him, and I don't see these. I mean, it's been 2 years, and all of a sudden these are really important when he hasn't. Clark has not had time to evaluate these contracts. He's been busy evaluating the township and the staff needs. Says the operations director would be well positioned to develop a proposed RFP. Well, not if there isn't sufficient staff. Sure, he could do it all, but he doesn't even have admin support. So this is just an unnecessary burden at this time. I do agree that these things need to happen, but I don't believe that they need to happen right now, and especially by September 8th. We also have the trash RFP that we're working on, and we're supposed to do that on, I think, August 18th, along with 4 other agenda items at our special meeting. He hasn't been introduced to that yet. But I agree that eventually this needs to happen, but I really want to support our operations director so he can evaluate and have the staff he needs. And also not just the staff he needs, but the staff that the township needs. Okay, I think that's it for now. Treasurer Yapel. It's okay, I'll get you back later. Treasurer Yapel.
Excuse me, thank you. I would support this. I'm open to changing the assigned staff to township staff. I'm open to a different date. So, if we don't want it September 8th, if we want it some other date that we can come to consensus on. Just to clarify something, I do think we do need additional administrative staff. We, as a board, have an authorized position. Well, we have several authorized positions that are empty that we're recruiting for, but one of them was additional admin staff role. But there is the administrative services coordinator who assists the operations director and other staff. I do think this is a good time to start this process. I realize it will take some time to get it done. But if we want a different date than September 8th, I might propose looking at our calendar, October 6th, that would give it an additional 30 days roughly. Or we could look at, doing the first meeting of November 10th. And, that my only worry there is if the board takes up November 10th, we might not get the breadth of bids or proposals just because of the holidays. But thank you.
Clerk Flintoff, do you have anything new to add?
Sure. Yeah, we're going in order.
Well, you started.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's why.
I was just. Yeah, so trustee Brandt still should be.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Well, Yes, you,
I wasn't
never mind.
clear who you were
That was
calling.
my fault. I went
Okay.
out of order. I'm sorry. Trustee Brandt, go ahead if you have anything.
Yes, I do. Yes, I'm very supportive of this. This is in my career field. I have offered in the past to help with any of these efforts regarding purchasing and contracts. That offer still stands. I don't necessarily think for this particular item, we need professional staff to create an RFP. I think this one could be formulated. It could be modeled after another community. The real intent here should be the terms and condition, the legal terms and conditions, which we do have the expertise for that. I fully support this. This is something that I've clamored for in the past as a citizen. I advocated strongly for this. It is the time to do it. I don't think our operations director can only have one focus. I think his skills and experience are broad and he can handle multiple things. So I think this is something he should be able to deal with. And again, I am available for consultation. We can get this. There was a smirk in the audience, I thought. Anyway, I'm sorry, someone else said something?
No, go ahead.
Someone at the table said something?
Go ahead.
Oh, it was you. No, it was the supervisor. So yeah, I think we need to get on this. Once we establish a procedure, additional contracts should be easier to model after that procedure, including timings. Treasurer Yable put some good points out about timing, time of year, when contractors might be more interested. End of the year is typically not a good time to engage with people. So I fully support this. I'm ready to make the model motion. So I would like to make the motion to direct the operations director to work with assigned staff and with input from the Land Preservation Commission to develop a request for proposals, RFP for open space consulting services for the period of January 1st, 2027 through December 31st, 2029, to bring the proposed RFP to the Board of Trustees not later than September 8th, 2026. I'm open to amendments there for immediate issue upon board approval, and to return to the Board of Trustees with results and proposed vendor and contract for open space services not later than November 10th, 2026 for possible approval. I think it's significant that we have the chair of the LPC that's supportive of this, as well as our board liaison, Trustee Reed.
Is there support?
Support.
I would.
I have no comments too.
I have friendly amendments. As well.
Yeah. Also, okay. I would like to hear from our operations director as well. So let's make the amendments and then.
Motion for that.
Yes, but then okay, but Trustee Noel, did you have an amendment?
I wanted to pose an amendment, but I wanted to hear from Clark before I did that. I would propose no later than a month after November if he feels he needs that. I don't know. I'd like to hear from him on that.
Riser, do you have any?
Well, I was going to put it to the October 13th, which is the second Tuesday. We currently have it the second Tuesday of September. I was going to go the second Tuesday in October, which would be October 13th.
October 6th is the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's some holidays.
Oh yeah, Thanksgiving.
Columbus Day, et cetera.
No. So, okay, October 6th or October 20th, one of those two dates, and then to bring it back, I don't know if we want to leave it at November 10th or put it at as soon as possible, or 2 weeks after that date. I know that around Thanksgiving, it makes it trickier. So I'm looking for like a month later and then a couple weeks later. And then I would ask that, I don't know what assigned staff, because honestly, I don't know who's assigned to him and who's assigned to others and who's assigned to both. So I would say to work with township staff and get the call from the ranks of whoever's available. Anybody that, so that's what, those would be my amendments. So, that, I know that's not a great amendment because they're on the state. That's what I'm looking for. About a month later on the one, and maybe 2 to 3 weeks later on the second date, and then all staff.
I'm not in support of any of this, but go ahead.
I wanted to suggest, I was just kind of taking notes as everybody was talking and wanted to suggest kind of pushing it back 3 months. Because then it would, if a majority of the board wants to extend the Tremore Ecology contract or go month to month for a bit. And my suggestion would be 3 months to miss the holiday, the problem of the holidays. So certainly, I think by assigned staff, the intention was the same as township. Happy to, I would, to Brandt and Yeapo's model motion, I would suggest the following amendments to change assigned to township. And instead of developing a RFP for the period of Jan 1, 2027 to December 31, 2029, to move that to April 1, 2027 through March 31st, 2030. To bring the proposed RFP to the board not later than, I would put it at December 8th, 2026 for immediate issuance upon board approval, and then to return to the board with results and proposed vendor and contract for open space services not later than February 16th, 2027 for possible approval, and to offer, Mariah, I don't know what the right language is, an extension to Tremore Ecology Services for month to month through March 31st, 2026. Or just an extension through March 31st, 2027. Okay, it's for an extension through March 31st, 2027. Then we don't have a gap or a question. When we had a question in this contract last year, it created some challenges.
Okay. Trustee, yes.
I would accept those changes.
I agree.
Clark?
You fix the mic too.
It is.
No, I'm just,
Oh.
and your to-do list.
Okay. First and foremost, I just want to thank Clerk Flintoff for preparing these agenda items. Thank you. I also want the board to recognize that in the clerk, and I'm not attacking anybody because I'm here to serve the board. I want that to be out up front. So don't take anything I say personal. It's not personal. This is reality. See, there's some things that's happening day to day that the board don't know about. So let me kind of fill y'all in on some of the things that I do that you're unaware of. You know, it's hard to sit here when in the clerk's own paperwork, she says, historically, we have not had sufficient qualified professional staff to prepare these items. This is what she said. And I agree with her. That's going to be part of my 60-day report. And then I'm hearing the board say, well, you can select any staff. We are struggling with staff. Treasurer Yeaple said that. We don't have adequate staff. So who am I going to pull from? She said in her own documentation that they have used contractors and things of that nature. So it's almost like you're tying my hands and say, I want you to have a fair fight. I'm here to serve you and to serve the township, but you can't tie my hands and tell me to have a fair fight. Let me tell you some of the things I'm doing. During the interview process and during my subsequent one-on-one discussion with this board, and even since my appointment, this board has emphasized strengthening organizational effectiveness, governance, communications, accountability, staffing, operational consistency, and policy development. Based on what you have been most saying, I have devoted my time for the last 6 weeks on assisting with the external cultural assessment, evaluating the township structure, reporting relationships, strengthening the chain of command and leadership accountability, policy development and operational consistency, workforce development, employee morale, staffing, and organizational capacity, governance versus administrations, training and professional development, collective bargaining implementation, and other initiatives that I've heard the board say they wanted addressed. Those are just some of the things I've been doing. And be mindful, I'm doing it with limited or no staff. I'm doing it. So accordingly, I'm just asking the board for some direction tonight. Based on what I have documented and based on what I'm doing, I need to know your priorities list. What am I doing now that I can put on the back burner? Because in Clerk Flintoff's own documentation, on one of these things, it says it takes about 6 months to do it. I'm here to execute your vision. That's my job. I'm here to execute your vision. But if it's gonna take 6 months to do some of this with no staff, because everybody's struggling for staff, again, who am I gonna pick from? There is nobody there. So I'm asking you, whatever you need me to do tonight, I'm prepared to do it. Whether it's working 8 hours, 10 hours, or 12 hours, I'm prepared to do it. I told you that day one, I will give you 110%. But what I'm asking you, do not tie my hands and then say, I want you to be successful and bring me something back on specific dates. That's all I'm asking. So I've given you a list of some of the things I'm doing, and that's not all the things I'm doing. Think about it. I have about 5 or 6 direct reports. It's in my office constantly throughout the day, every day. Because I don't have administrative staff, and guess what? I have to devote some of my time to their needs. That was one of your directives, coach and mentor the staff. I'm doing that. Again, I'm only one person. So I'm asking you tonight, I'll do anything you ask me to do as long as it's not illegal, immoral, or unethical. I'm your man. I'm just asking tonight, tell me some of the things on the list I can put to the side for the next 6 months, because just like Trustee Ryder said, I talked to the labor employment attorney just yesterday. We're in the process to start with the union negotiations. He told me it's going to be timely. It starts at the end of next month, 1st of September. What do the board want me to put to the side? That's all I'm asking. I'm asking for a fair shake. What do the board want me to put to the side? I'll do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Clark. Do you have anything new to add?
I do.
Okay.
And this is part of why I was bringing these, is so that the board can decide where we want to spend our resources. I mean, another option is we can agree to not do an RFP process this year. We can agree now so that we know we're just going to renew this. I mean, that's what's in the following one with our other 2 major contractors. I thought we might have capacity to do this very small RFP. If it's a priority, because we've said it is for 2 years, we do it. Otherwise, I think we just, vote tonight to renew the Tremore Ecology contract and know where we're going. To do it for another year and revisit it for a year. But I don't think it's helpful when we have these, questions kind of hanging out there. So I don't have a strong preference about what we do tonight, other than I didn't want the board to lose track of this, because we have said for 2 years that we want to do it and people are asking for it. So we can delay it, or we can just say, delay it for a year and check in then, which I don't think is unreasonable. but I just think we need to decide.
I would support delaying for a year.
I would also support delaying it for a year. Given what we've just heard from Clark, we may also need to have a working session to have a discussion among board members as to our top priorities at this time. We haven't discussed that recently.
Okay.
So well, there's a motion on the table.
Yeah. So I guess, let's vote on this motion and then see where that lands and go from there.
Well,
Because there's a motion and a support.
yeah, but there might be some amendments. I don't know.
Well,
We could call the question, or there could be.
Yeah.
We,
we could even, we can, when we say delay the whole thing, that would mean, agreeing to offer renewal to Tremor Ecology for a certain period of time and to revisit RFP at some date. I do think there's value in being specific, even if we're talking about 12 months out. It's not a big lift. There are drafts already, and certainly, volunteers may step forward to do this. I don't know.
And it's not just the drafting of the documents. It's Clark has to familiarize himself more, I think, with the issues involved with the LPC so that he has an understanding of the history, the priorities of the LPC, and all of that. And that hasn't happened yet. He's been very busy, and there's been a lot going on here.
I would prefer to have the time invested in staff and bringing in more staff. And one more year with Tremor or whatever the date. Okay. Go ahead, Treasurer Yapel.
Thank you. I'd be prepared to withdraw my support. So I see that there is a number of objectives that we need to accomplish. I do think this is important. I am not prepared tonight to support a renewal of that contract. There's some ongoing issues we need to work on, and I would much rather bring that up at a future meeting, specifically around process and business practices, I guess we'll call them. I think there are things we can work through, we can improve, and we have had some improvement, but communication is still a big challenge. Timing is a challenge. So I would like to talk about that, whether it's at a work session, whether it's at a regular meeting. And then once we can get some language or some commitment from our side and the other party side, I'd be more prepared to talk about that renewal.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd be willing to withdraw the support because I see the concern from the board and from our operations director, but I'm not prepared to support a renewal at this point.
Okay, when do you suggest to bring back?
Second meeting in August,
That would be, what did we say that was?
25th.
What are we bringing back? I'm sorry.
Wait, couldn't hear you.
Well,
Wow.
yeah. I don't know. To discuss.
I think
three more
I have some ideas
processes.
of things that I can prepare an agenda item for as far as processes and business practices with Tree more specifically, communication, process of when deals close, things of that nature. Yeah.
Wait,
Okay.
would this be to support a month-to-month contract extension, or what are you talking about?
About the process of, or how the process has been happening and needs to be modified to make it more efficient.
I think Supervisor Carey has experienced a little bit of this along with me. Communication is sporadic at times and hurried at other times. And then we get documents and we're not sure who has the documents, and just getting things more outlined in a process written down.
No, for the.
With the consultant.
Yeah, the consultant.
Yeah.
Would you be Okay, like August.
25th?
5th?
Yeah,
Or.
I can prepare
Tuesday?
something for that.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so we had, Treasurer Gable, you withdrew your motion.
Or support, it was trustee Brandt.
Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee Brandt. It was your motion.
It is my motion. I think that this board needs to formulate an RFP policy, whether it's for this item or not. And no, I don't want to wait a year for that. I don't think it's necessary. I think we could put together a policy, again, modeling it after some standard practices. I mean, we have examples directly from OHM on how they do it, which is pretty standard. So I would like to see a policy within 6 months and determining which contracts, which services should go through the RFP process. But waiting means that it's more than a year, because then you start in a year and it'll take another 6 months, and then it'll take another 6 months. So if you never start defining the policy, then you clearly will not effectuate the policy that doesn't exist. So my reckoning is a new agenda item that talks about developing that policy.
Okay, so your motion, are you withdrawing?
Well, I have no support, so I have no choice.
Okay.
At some point I want to speak when it's my turn.
Okay, Trustee Riser, go ahead, it's your turn.
First, we have a contract through January 27th. And then I guess,
Through December 31st.
I'm sorry,
Sorry.
through the end of the year.
Yeah.
And I guess there's a couple things, what to do about that afterwards. And we can still ask our attorney to engage in discussions with a consultant to see if he'd be willing to work on a month-to-month basis thereafter. If he's not, well, then we're doing an RFP anyways. You know, so assuming he's willing to do that. So at some point that could be decided. And the other is I don't know that, Ryan, I appreciate you willing to put the time in. I don't know that we need an agenda item as much as we need a meeting perhaps between you and the consultant and the chair of LPC and the rep, the board rep to LPC. Maybe maybe what you're trying to accomplish is a sit down and a clearing of like, here's our expectations, here's what we want from you. Kind of like what we did, honestly, on the GCS side. We kind of worked getting as good a service as we could have, but we weren't asking for it, and we weren't having more of an active role in that. So we've kind of stepped that up. So maybe you and David and Liz can have a sit down and say what the board's expectations are, but rather than bring back a board item, I don't know. Okay. I don't know that it needs an agenda item.
Okay. Treasurer Gable, why don't you go ahead with the suggestion, and if you feel that it needs to come back to the board for whatever reason, sure, we'll be open to that.
But
and to work with excuse me, to work with Attorney Fink and Director Clark if he is available.
Okay. And another thing I was going to suggest is we might want to have like an RFP committee, because there are people on this board who know what they're doing in that regard. So that we could put our heads together on a kind of volunteer basis, like, hey, who can do this, and bring something to the operations director, bring something to this board. That might be to develop a policy, to look at it. What should the best policy be? What does our current policy say about RFPC? Whatever that word, I'm thinking of RFP. What the hell is that? I don't know. RFP, yeah, no. RFP, I don't know. That's just a thought. We don't have to do it tonight, but we might want to get some subject matter experts in on it. That's all.
Trustee Brandt, would you be interested in heading that?
Yes, I've already volunteered.
Okay, so trustee Brandt, you will get that committee together and bring it back to the board?
I don't know that it needs to be a committee.
Well,
Yeah.
it could be a subcommittee, whatever, but
Couple people.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be a formalized committee. I would suggest and recommend that it includes our operations manager because she holds some of those responsibilities.
well, that would be up to Operations Director Clark because she does report to him.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay, so where are we?
I think we're looking for more than one person to be on the committee. None. I think we had trustee Brandt volunteer.
Well, that's why I suggested she bring it back because we're gonna figure out all those details right now when.
I'm gonna add my name to that list. I was gonna try to sneak out, but I'm volunteer.
Thanks, Sharon.
And David Reed, since he's not here.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so this is,
Sounds good.
moving on.
We have some next steps.
All right, K7.
Sure. Similarly, putting this in place, to, make sure we don't get behind the ball with some of the contracts and also to help the board determine kind of what our priorities are. This is kind of three parts and it goes together because, they're related to each other. It's really three parts. As you know, we have over $1 million of contracts with OHM advisors. There's a small amount of work that has never been under contract. Even back when in 2021, when Will took office and Matt from OHM even had a draft contract to kind of encapsulate these. He has said it would be good for them. It's something they could draft up. I don't think it would take much time, but what we have right now is every month we get 1 or 2 invoices from OHM for quote unquote general services, and it is assorted. And the work that they do is good, is excellent, but we don't have a not to exceed amount. And so we don't have cost controls in place. So it's something that I think would be pretty quick and could be done at any point in time. I think it would probably, we could say, let's see it in 2 weeks. I was suggesting that we get that in place by April 1st. That's number 3 in the model motion. Number 2 and number 1 in the model motion go together a little more closely. We have our Carlisle Wortman contract, which for our regular general planning and zoning services, that has a year-over-year renewal in it if we want to. So if we did nothing, we could just renew for the year. It was recently negotiated, so I don't think would change too much. But would just be to make sure we're on top of it, to have that in place as a renewal for April 1st. The part of this that would be a change from status quo would be something that's been recommended over the last couple of years by Carlisle Wortman, by our finance team, by, I know Fran and I went to Pittsfield a couple years ago to look at this, which is really a much more robust escrow policy and procedures for planning and engineering services. We do not recover all of the costs that we could from our developers. And a lot of that's just because of the process we have. It's very piecemeal. OHM collects escrow for their amounts, adds 5%. They literally directly go to the developer and say, send Scio Township a check for X dollars. Carlisle Wortman, the administrative clerk planning, Fran, reaches out as needed. On occasion, there's some deposit that's required for legal, but not very often. The costs we don't get covered, for example, if the planning consultant needs to show up at a planning commission meeting because of a developer proposal, that we're paying for that from their general fund. So there's a lot of these costs we're paying for from our general fund simply because our current administrative structure of paper and checks and spreadsheets and folders and binders is so inefficient that we just don't have it captured. So long advised to move toward escrow. If the board wants to make this a priority this year, we could do that. Otherwise, we could not do that and continue with the system we have. You could put this out as a goal for a year from now and keep the status quo. But I just want to bring it to the board's attention because we're spending general fund money where we don't. We've expressed a desire to have more internal staff. This is one way of funding that. Thank you.
Trustee Noel?
Okay, we've got some of the same issues here that we had in the prior agenda item. I won't go through them all again, but we've got to give Clark time to get acclimated. And that is going to present some challenges. So for me, these are three standalone issues. And establishment of the escrow account for planning and zoning. I agree. I strongly support that. However, it's going to take months and months of planning to accomplish that. And we're going to have meetings with Laura, go through, she's got information about how they do it in Pittsfield Township and other townships, and we can get all of that information from her. This has been discussed many times in our planning review team meetings. So we need to do it, but do we need to start it right now? I don't. I'm concerned about that, given everything else that's going on here. So maybe we start the process and maybe we start with having these meetings with Laura on this particular issue, but it's not something we can't get all three of these done quickly. So the renewal for the OHM civil engineering services, we are capturing many of those fees already from the developers. So the situation with OHM and Carlisle Wortman is different. They're not the same. And I, again, I don't know if Clark wants to speak again, but I would assume some of what you said with the other agenda item also applies here with this one. Okay. So, I mean, I'm willing to work with a group regarding the process to begin to establish an escrow account for planning and zoning. That's fine. I think that's the more immediate need of all three of these. But that's my opinion. We can hear what other board members think on that. And Clark, you would have to be involved too. I mean, this process it'll be a lengthy one, and Fran would have to be involved. It takes some time. It'll take months, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Trustee Reiser?
This one's even trickier than the one you. It's a little bit of you got two things. You got two contractors that have been they've been good partners with Scio, OHM and CWA, and they're respected, and the reps on both of them that deal with us are good people to have. So it's like, the thing chugs along and it works. The escrow is a little bit, that's obviously different if we need to update that. And I don't know the best way to do that. And maybe, is that like the finance staff to help with that?
Both, yes.
I mean,
collaboration.
Yes. So
we need finance.
is there, Yeah, so I know that we've done some contracting with accounting firms, so I don't know if that's internal finance staff or the accounting firms that are advising us, so I think we got to put our heads together on that and move forward. I don't know the best way, but I appreciate you bringing it up. I'm not prepared to vote on it tonight substantively, but I support it in concept, what you're trying to do, especially on the escrow. So, I yield.
Okay, thank you. I agree. The escrow policies, procedures are very important. I would like to see us capture as much money back from the developers as possible. However, I agree that this is too much right now. And I'm suggesting that in 6 months, or not 6 months, I guess, yeah, it would be 6 months, January 2027, after Clark has, our operation director has some strength under his feet with staff and whatever his assessments and whatnot, we begin that process then. And especially with an escrow policy or procedures, if we're going to need finance staff, we're going to need finance staff and not rely on contractors for finance, but have more in-house. Also, and as far as Carlisle Wortman and OHM, I think that they have been doing a great job, and especially if, a lot of this comes back to the communication of the board and what we want from them. And I know that changing a policy, we would have to communicate with them, but for example, Carlisle Wortman, we didn't have a contract with for a long time, and then they had a changeover and they were willing to work with us. So I don't have any problems with them. So I'm suggesting that in January, if this is to revisit this in January.
Fine with that.
Get past the holidays and okay, so Treasurer Yapel.
Thank you. I would I think items 2 and 3, the 2 contract pieces of this item, I appreciate Clerk Flintoff bringing this item because it is something we need to talk about here at the board. I think 2 and 3 are achievable goals within 60 days. I think OHM might be the first one that's ready. I don't know. We would have to see, but I believe both of those could be accomplished in the next 60 days with relatively limited time or burden on the operations director. Because I believe those contracts are, apart from some dates and maybe some inflationary costs, they're probably the same, or they could be built very quickly. And then the board could just review them. Now, as far as item number 1, the escrow policy, I agree this is very important. Admittedly, as the person on the board that's been through the planning and zoning process here, there's a lot of opportunity for improvement. And I think it'd be really a good thing to start on. I'm cognizant that we have a lot on our collective plate and on individuals' plates, but I think it's something we need to start on because it is going to take some time. Maybe our goal is, as people have said, we have some initial meetings and then we have some individual work or departmental work to go do in order to make this work. Maybe our goal is we want to implement it beginning in the new fiscal year. Maybe the goal is we want to do it June 30th or July 1st of 2027. I don't know. I'm just throwing out dates as ideas. Yeah, so we could do July of 2027, which would give an additional 3 months, additional fiscal quarter. I think one, that's good because that gets us out of the budget season, because that's, of course, coming up again all too soon. And then I think it also gives time as we have, a new finance assistant coming on board, hopefully soon, and hopefully additional, staff getting up to speed in the finance department. I'm up to hear what people think. I do think this is, of the 2, this is probably the more urgent as far as compared to the previous agenda item. I think this has bigger financial implications to the township. And I do think it is the more important. That's why I waited until this agenda item to say that it was more important, because I was okay with kind of deferring or working out a solution on that previous item. This one to me is the thing we should spend the time on.
Yes,
Which part? Yeah.
All three aspects of it. I believe item 2, the Carlisle Wortman, and item 3, the OHM advisors piece, can be done within 60 days or less. Item 1 is going to take more time. And I'm fine with April 1st, but if people want to move it, I might suggest July 1st of 27. Thanks.
Ryan, can you speak into your microphone?
Sure. Sorry.
Trustee Brandt?
Yeah, I really appreciate, Ryan, your comments on 2 and 3. That makes sense to me. Perfect sense that that's not a heavy lift if we're using the existing contracts and we're modifying for dates. I also agree the escrow policy is needed because we're losing money on that function. I'm not going to go into all of the nuances, but I think we should take Trustees Knoll's offer to start working on that.
Okay, well, Trustee Knoll, do you have anything new to add?
No, I think we've covered it adequately. I think what are we saying we would delay this 6 months and then begin to address some of these issues? Are we going to have a working session to discuss about some of these issues? What's the collective will here?
I see a need for a working session to talk. We are all in agreement to migrate to this escrow policy. So a working session, I mean, I think we're of one mind on that already.
Could be.
Well, Trustee Reiser, you're next, and then anything new?
No, I guess I would reach out to our accounting firms. I don't. No, I don't have anything. I think I already said that. Nothing.
Well, I'm still in. I still think this is way too much. And just to be clear, I think Treasurer Yapel or Trustee Brandt said for these 2 contracts within 60 days to modify just for dates and nothing else.
Yeah.
Dates and likely an inflationary
Yeah.
increase is possible.
They produce those.
So not an RFP.
These are not RFPs, people. This could be done in like 3 days. But I suggested several months.
Inflationary.
So, yeah. These are different.
And then the escrow to begin at a later date, or go ahead. She's not answering, so.
Well, I thought we were talking 6 months out from now
Okay.
for the escrow issue. That's number 1.
Okay, that's what I was gonna suggest. I was suggest the model motion, which we can change the word assigned to township staff again, if that's more clear. But I would suggest, I mean, again, the OHM contract and Carlisle Wortman contract, I think are pretty simple renewals. And I had suggested we start them on April 1st. That would align with a renewal of the Carlisle, and it would start the new OHM contract at the top of the fiscal year, but we don't have to. We're not doing any of this right now, so we have options. So if we backed it out 6 months, instead of trying to have something before the board by February 28th to take effect April 1st, 2027, we could aim to have these in place by October 1st, 2027, instead of April 1st, 2027, and have it before the board in, what is that? August, let's say August 24th, 2027, instead of February. So we could just try to work towards these for a goal date of October 1st, 2027, instead of April 1st. And change the contract renewal, the contract dates accordingly from April 1st, 27 to October 1st. So just back it all up 6 months.
And I have.
And one more thing, John, yes, finance would be engaged, but this is mostly a planning administrative flow. The accounting of this is easy and would actually be very simple to implement. So.
And because it's the renewing of the contract, would legal be involved? Why wouldn't, so why wouldn't this, you're gonna kick me under the table, Mariah, but why wouldn't this be something that's directed to legal to renew the contract?
It certainly could be if the board wants to. It's just, we're, trying to have our contracts be managed, through operations, but I know they are great partners and would work together on.
Treasurer Gable.
Let's take a stab at this, and I'll have a second motion, but let's start with the easier one, I think. To direct the operations director to work with township staff and the township attorney to develop a proposed renewal contract with Carlisle Wortman for planning and zoning services for the period of April 1st, 2027 through March 31st, 2028, and to develop a proposed renewal contract with OHM advisors for the period of April 1st, 2027 through March 31st, 2028, to formalize the general engineering services regularly provided and to return to the Board of Trustees with the proposed contracts by September 8th, 2026.
I would support.
Okay. Okay.
It is not a renewal contract with OHM.
And a new contract,
Yeah,
sorry.
these are services we pay for with no contract in place.
Yep, I wrote that as a new contract. My apologies.
And you want this back by September
Yes.
Wait, September of,
this year?
Yeah, specifically for the OHM and the Carlisle contracts.
that's
Well-
kind of quick.
Yeah. Because now it's gone from modifying to a new contract and, well, this is what's confusing because I'm writing down notes as you're speaking, modify for dates, and now we don't have a contract, so now we need to create a contract.
No, it's been the case for OHM. OHM, we don't have a contract for these regularly provided services.
Right.
It would be, we approve OHM contracts all the time. They throw a
We approved one earlier.
just on consent.
Mhm.
What about the consideration of starting like January 1st of 2027? And it's going to take OHM some time to develop a blanket contract. So this is going to take time.
I had proposed 6 months out. I don't know if that's too far for you, Kathy.
No, I think, well,
Christy is mad
we
online.
need to consult. Let's consult with Matt.
Sorry. I guess
To consult with them.
that would be my question. What do they think?
Yeah. Well, let's hear from Matt. Let's start there.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, there's Andrew.
Hi, Matt.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So we all, just to make sure everybody's listening, understands, whenever we have a design proposal or like tonight, you had one on consent, there's standard terms and conditions that are all involved with that. So similarly, in Jessica's right, we have been talking about this for a while, like our general services and review services really kind of fall under kind of a contract list thing. So we have EJCDC boilerplate contracts or a simplified version that you're more used to seeing. So within 30 days, I could probably get some kind of draft for you to review, Mariah to look at and get it going. Just out of pure convenience, our rates and things typically adjust our fiscal year, which is January 1. So I think we could do it as quick as you want, but I would, and it actually helps us. I mean, there's risks and things like that that right now we're doing that we're not covered under in Scio 2. So it's mutually beneficial to have this. But I would say a reasonable thing would be prepare it, bring it back to have the board review it in September. October would be fine to act on, and we could start it, fresh and clean January 1, I think, because then our new rates go, and then we would build in like either an auto renewal or an auto inflationary clause, because typically our rates adjust, 2.5%, 3% annually. And then that could always be discussed or debated for the general services work. So yeah, I mean, I'm fine. Ryan is right. Like Jessica's probably right too. Like 2 or 3 days probably is a little aggressive, but I have my own legal team, but we have boilerplate templates that we can start with that are generally accepted by municipalities across Washington County. So I think whatever your guys' preferences, but I could have it to you probably within 30 to 60 days. It's definitely doable. If you wanted to delay it, that's fine, but I would want to start no later, execute it in December at the latest, so it's fresh and we're under contract January 1.
Thanks, Matt.
Okay, thank you. Laura, is Laura on?
Oh, there she is. Hey, Laura.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, hi, Laura.
Hi, guys. So actually, our contract was just renewed last March, and it does have an extension clause for, I think, through 2029. So I think mine's the easiest one you're talking about tonight.
Okay.
And I think we'd want to renew that whenever we implement any changes to escrow. Is that correct, Laura?
Yeah, we should, because
line
there
item.
there is a fee schedule attached. So once I think the escrow, once you get that up and running, we would probably do an amendment to that fee schedule. But until that's really getting ready to be implemented, I think we're good to go.
Okay, thank
yeah,
you.
Thank you. Well, okay, so it sounds like OHM is on, well, apparently, because Matt said, is on board with this.
Do we need a motion if Matt's gonna bring us something?
I don't necessarily know.
Well, okay,
I think we need to say we want it.
yeah. And then the escrow policy,
met.
wait until begin in January.
Well, doesn't Matt want it more than us because he wants to work?
The escrow policy,
That's different.
is completely independent. Yeah.
I
That's
agree.
a totally
I thought
different option.
we don't need a motion for Matt's stuff, right? He's just gonna bring us something and he's gonna work with.
I would recommend we have a simple motion to institute that because we have been paying these outside of any contract forever. So I think it'd be good just for the board simply to say we would like OHM to propose a contract for these.
I would support that
Okay.
motion.
So the motion by Flintoff, support by Riser, to ask like the OHM
Yep.
advisors to propose a contract to formalize the general services and review services regularly provided to the township after consultation with operations director and township attorney.
Well, actually, I wanted him to propose it to our attorney. I think that should go to the attorney and then
Agree.
Mariah loops in Clark as she needs to.
Sounds
I
great.
concur.
Aye.
And then OHM, or not OHM, I'm
Why don't
sorry,
we do
Carlisle.
one at a time? Let's do
Oh,
one-
yes, yes,
let's
yes.
do one at a time.
Sorry. Well, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passed 6-0. Then Carlisle Wortman, we're good until this escrow policy and January 2027 to begin on this. Clerk Flintoff, or not, I'm sorry, Trustee Noel.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, you're going, what did you want to do?
Let me talk with Laura, talk with Fran, talk with Clark, and figure out a plan going forward for this escrow policy group. I mean,
Do you wanna
other
just-
people are gonna have to be involved. And
Yeah.
they're probably, we're probably gonna need somebody from finance
Yeah.
also
Okay,
Yeah.
so that will give you enough time to
get it set
from
up.
now until January, if then, or before, depending on how things come together.
Yeah,
But,
to get it set up, committee set up. We won't start until then.
okay,
Okay.
Do you want to bring this back, Kathy? I'm happy to help in whatever
Okay.
way. But
Okay,
do you want to be responsible for bringing this back?
I'll do it.
Thank you.
So a summary of that is just to kind of realign our fees, are what we charge for escrow in anticipation of what the fees for various review, for planning and engineering are going to cost, so that we can pass those on accurately pursuant to Bolt, where we can't have them too high. And then we can do a better job at reconciling what we pay out and what revenue we get in. Is that right?
And this is going to apply more to planning than OHM because we're capturing a lot of the OHM expenses right now.
Yes.
Not all, but a lot.
So John, it is to make sure we're capturing all of the costs we should, but also the process on how we do it. That's the big part.
Thank you.
Treasurer Gable, you said as a business owner, you went through this process and this could be better. And is this just for the escrow portion of it or?
The
is it just
entire process
Don't-
is entirely
Yeah.
based in paper. It takes far too long and costs, and it should cost the developer a reasonable cost, but it costs people that we end up approving projects for, it costs them additional money, additional time because the projects take so long to move through.
And part of why we take long is because we ask for money in little bits
Yes.
instead of enough upfront where we could just be efficient for all of our sakes.
Yeah. Yep. That was exactly my experience. I was told one number, then I was told a different number, then I was told a third number, and then one of those numbers ended up being.
Trustee Noel, did you get that as well?
No, I didn't. Say it again.
He was told different numbers over.
I was told different numbers over time. The process is just very paper logged and slow. So we can do a lot to improve it, to make it better, not only for us as the township, but also to the community. We have many of the people in the community that live here that are going through this process, and we don't want it to be a burden for them.
Yep. Okay.
So the escrow and the process.
Well, yeah. I mean, the process is very much part of the escrow. I mean,
Yep.
Are we on to K8 now?
Yeah,
so.
we're good with all this, right?
Yep.
We've done
I
that,
think so.
okay. And K8, the Scio Township Organizational Excellence Strategy and Professional Development Initiative. Operations Director Clark, this is your item. I did prepare it and I submitted it into Granicus, so I did not create this.
I am the one who pulled this off consent. I'm supportive of this. I just had a suggested change to the model motion, which I discussed with Clark earlier. But Jillian, I don't know if you want to discuss this first or go right to that.
No, this is fine. Is that okay?
Okay.
So you have changes to the model motion?
Yes. The 5 points in the model motion, I think, make a lot of sense. The 5th point, I just wanted to clarify and strengthen it a little bit. It says establish an organizational excellence professional development fund 101 dash blank with an initial appropriation of up to 100,000 for the current fiscal year. I just wanted to suggest just to have this in a motion so we can actually amend the budget to establish an organizational excellence and professional development budgeted activity 101-271. 271 would be a new quote unquote department, organizational excellence and professional development with an initial appropriation of up to 100,000 for fiscal year 2026-27. So that would then create the department, quote unquote, 271, where Clark would then have the budgeted funds and expenditures to work with, monitor, report on.
Okay. I would support that. That's your only suggested change. Okay. Well,
Was that a motion? And it was supported?
well, it was an amendment to number 5.
I could make that amendment a motion. Do you support, Jillian?
Yes. You know, oh, she's out. Yeah, she is. Treasurer Gable? No, I'm sorry. I'm out of order here. Trustee Riser.
No, thank you. I'm going to support.
I'm in support of this. Treasurer Gable?
I support. Thanks.
Trustee Brandt? Oh, I'm sorry. Clerk Flintoff. Trustee Brandt?
Yeah, I would like more regular reporting than annual. And I don't know if you would bring, when you determine an area, would you bring that to the board, or is this giving you authorization to spend up to $100,000 without a board approval? I'm not comfortable with that. How did you envision that?
Well, my thing, in the paperwork, it lists some objectives as for some of the training we're trying to bring.
Right.
Here. Now, if the board want me to bring them something back every time we do the training, I'm open to that. But that was not the process. The process is that based on the board's vision and the board's directive that we need training. I've looked at several trainings to bring, not only for the staff, but for the board also. But however the board want it done.
Okay. What about more regular reporting on progress, or how do you envision that? Or will it be by whatever initiative you put forward? So, for example, employee training or board training or.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure.
I'm sorry.
Make sure I'm following you.
No, I'm
you
sorry.
Know how
I'm not being very clear.
You gonna make? You want to know how often I'm gonna report back to the board as far as the money has been spent? That's what you're asking.
Yeah, the accomplishments, the goals would.
Well, I mean, I can do a biannual report, but normally you would do an annual report. But if y'all want a biannual report, I can do that also. But what we know back in March, this is what the board wanted me to come up with a proposal on bringing some training for the entire organization. That's what I've done.
Did you have other comments, Kathleen?
So as you engage with an organization, you would bring that before the board for budget approval?
Each time I engage with an organization? That's not the way I had envisioned it. No,
okay,
no.
Just tell me what you thought.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm hoping that the board would have enough confidence in me to allow me to spend the funds. There's a process, and I know you know this. I just can't spend the funds. I can't put it in my pocket. It has to go through finance.
Procurement.
That's going to be some documentation. So, and at the end of about 6 months, at the end of a year, you will get a comprehensive report from me. And at the end of the day, if you allocate $100,000 or $200,000 and I don't spend it, it's still in the general funds. I can't touch it. But we all know that we need training. And if we don't invest in our employees, we're doing a disservice to the township residents.
Well, if I'm the outlier on this, I'll let the board decide.
Right. Kathleen has had a comment. I gave the motion. The amendment is on the table. Flintoff and Carey to amend as discussed before you stepped out. And trustee Brandt was asking about kind of reporting frequency and also appropriation versus authorization. I'll just piggyback. I think if I may, I think you two are saying the same thing. Kathleen and Clark on this point on procurement is that we have the procurement policy and anything above $5,000 comes to the board for approval, at least on consent. Is that consistent with how you're envisioning this, or are you?
Go ahead.
No,
question.
Yeah, question.
And I'll say this, my thing is, I'm gonna follow the established policies already set by the board.
Exactly. So I think we're all on the same page
Thank
here.
you, Clerk Flintoff,
Yeah, I
for
thought-
clarifying that.
Yeah, I think
mean, it puts
you
it
two
in
are
my
saying the
mind
same
better.
thing. Yeah.
And reporting, what was the suggestion for reporting? It's,
Annual. And
would you be open to 6 months?
Yes, I will.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's what I just asked and you said annually. So anyways. Okay. 6 months. All right. So we have,
you want to the motion, change that amount of motion.
oh, so you didn't do that when I was gone?
No. The annual part that you were suggesting. Number 4 in the model motion.
Right.
Did you want to change that?
Yes. And when I mentioned it, I thought you said that it was already.
There was no agreement. I was just saying there had been a suggestion and discussion.
Okay. So require administration to provide it a 6-month report to the board summarizing expenditures, measurable outcomes, and recommendations.
Won't we see these in when we review all the payments?
Yeah.
Do we need any review if we get review every month?
I don't think so personally, John. I
neither.
appreciate having it rolled up at the end of the year so we can see kind of, areas where people have grown and departments have improved. But I agree with you, John.
You convinced me.
That we're going to see enough at our meeting.
Whatever the will of the board is, I'm fine with that.
And I'm trying to hide my trips under radar.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I think it's fine to keep it annually, but you can make a motion to change it if you want.
it's fine, annual, I don't care.
We don't want to create any make work. I think
Can I call
we're
it?
well informed.
Well,
Voice vote?
I think we're complete, right? Okay. So there's support. I did the support on one of them, but all of it, I'll support all of it. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? None? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clark. Thank you for preparing this.
Okay. Public comment. This is the time for members of the public to speak to the Board of Trustees for up to 5 minutes on any matter. Please come to the table for anyone in person.
Rob Pattinson, Scio Township resident. Jessica, at the beginning of the meeting, you talked about fake invoices are showing up. Could we put that information on the green banner on the website? And then also
I'm sorry, what did you say? I couldn't
talked
hear.
about the fake invoices that are showing up for utilities customers.
Planning and zoning
Planning and
developers.
zoning, beg your
Yeah.
pardon. Could we put that information up on the green banner on the website to alert residents to what's going on with that?
I defer to Christie on that.
And then same goes for the deadlines for voting. We're spoiling a ballot. That might be useful to have that on the green banner as well. And then earlier tonight, Jillian talked about the email, the secret email to the board from Steve Gillis. There's something this board needs to know to piggyback on that issue. I have been receiving a lot of emails from Steve Gillis. I would appreciate it if someone on this board could ask Steve Gillis to please stop writing me vile emails. He continues to talk about how he's going to sue me into the ground. And now he's escalated it to threatening me with filing felonies. And I'll remind this board that the last time we had someone who was willing to file felonies on innocent people, it cost the people of Washtenaw County about $1 million. So I would sincerely appreciate some efforts by the board to put an end to this fiasco. If this is what Steve Gillis is willing to do as the husband of a candidate for trustee, then what will he be doing as the husband of a trustee? This is a serious concern, and I hope that I can get some help from this board. Thank you.
Again, I just want to make it clear that the things that I say, my husband's not responsible for anything that I say tonight, nor would I expect Mary Gillis to be responsible for her husband says. But Supervisor Carey, I really don't understand your purpose or intentions for dragging up all that old correspondence during reports tonight. That old business has absolutely nothing to do with tonight's agenda or the correspondence in tonight's packet. Being just 2 weeks from the election day, I believe it was your intention to use that opportunity to throw a lot of shade on trustee candidate Mary Gillis and in turn sway voters to vote for Mary's opponent. I believe your lengthy rant was an abuse of power and your actions were unacceptable and should be addressed by other members of this board. That's how I feel. Speaking for myself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
Mark Altamare, Scio resident, candidate for trustee in the August 4th election. Let me start out by saying, well done again tonight. It's going to be under 3 hours, I think, unless there's someone else online. That's a very good trend for the meetings. Got a lot done today. I heard the terms work session and sit down versus agenda item thrown up there today. If my understanding of that is correct, I would encourage the board to do more of that. I think would make these meetings more productive. If a little of that work that you do up here in front of public was done in advance, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Maybe that's just my ignorance, but I think if that's permissible, it ought to be looked into more. I heard a lot of concerns about lack of staff, training. How are we going to get this work done? We've got several motions that need expertise. I'm going to throw a novel idea out there. I'm a big fan of community involvement. So I think you might want to consider recruiting people from the community who have tremendous skills, knowledge, and abilities. I think there's 2 in the back of the room right now who are watching who have a lot of interest and ability. The guy that was on the LASA board that you guys promoted or appointed, he just came out of the community. Roger Rail, who's a community member who's done tremendous work on the Scio Plume. So I would encourage you to look for volunteers to do some of that work because hiring right now is tough. There's I have a little bit of concern about that. I think training is important, building morale is important, a lot of things the director of operations is doing. But I think there also needs to be a look at root cause. Why are we in this position right now? Why have we had 12 people leave? Why are we having a hard time recruiting and hiring and retaining employees? I think that needs to be somebody's job too, somewhere along the line. And finally, with regards to the Gelman Plume, this flyer is great. I'm not sure I heard who did this, but this is really good. I want to call out one person who's in the room tonight. I was recently speaking with our federal representative, U.S. Representative Debbie Dingle, and we were talking about the Gelman Plume, and she called out by name Trustee Knoll, and she said she's done a lot of work with Trustee Knoll on this, and she had high praise for her. And so I would like to also congratulate you that kicking this issue to a federal case to get US EPA on it. Took years and years and years of effort. It was a huge milestone, and the work that you have done and others, I'm sure the rest of the board, I don't want to slight anybody. I know you've all had involvement, but it was a great success. And now the EPA is really going to take it to another level. So I can, I encourage you to do what you've been doing and collaborate, but this was a big win. So congratulations on getting that done, and to Trustee Knoll. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else present would like to speak? Come up to the table. Okay, anyone online?
We have a hand raised by Cam Boyd. Go ahead, Cam.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Regarding Steve Gillis, so I have received his 4:30 in the morning nasty emails for the last 4 or 5 years, off and on, and it is a problem. I've been it's not pretty. And Ryan, I can't believe that you would take his advice on anything. With the way he treats people online, I'm shocked. And this board needs to pay attention to this and do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else online? Okay, great. Board member response. Any?
I'm gonna chime in, even though I know I shouldn't.
Okay.
But to Rob and Pam, I too have gotten emails from Steve Gillis at interesting times, and they have been meaner than I wish they were. But I've also seen his wife in the grocery store and in the hardware store and in Township Hall, and she's been nothing but pleasant to me. So I would caution everybody against guilt by association and judge people on the content of their character, on who they are. So I like Mary, I like Mark, but I'm gonna look at those two candidates based on who they are rather than some untoward emails I've gotten in the past, and would urge everybody to do so. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn? So moved. Support? At what time is it?
It's 8:50.
8:58. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.